if you agree that your mental capacity is completely fine, you say yes. Do you understand?
Well, more or less.
I know frankly, it's a little weird, I must admit, but this is the final form. So
David Goodall is a long way from home. At the age of 104, he's travelled from Australia all the way to Switzerland, where it's legal to get help to suicide.
David, if you don't understand something, just ask me and I will...
Yes, but I didn't hear, but okay.
His grandson, Duncan Goodall, has flown in from the US to be by his side.
Is your mental capacity good?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would agree.
Do you have an incurable illness?
No.
No. Are you in unbearable pain?
No.
In an hour, Dr. Goodall will kill himself with a lethal dose of barbiturates. Before he does, he must prove he understands the nature of his decision.
Are you influenced by others to make this decision?
No.
I've known Dr. Goodall for 5 years, and in that time I've seen him transform from an active and animated man into someone who feels he has nothing to live for.
So just leave it as due to...
Because I want to end
my suffering. Exactly.
Okay. Because
I want to end my life.
Tonight, the inside story of David Goodall's final days as he crosses the globe farewelling family and campaigning for his last rites.
Do you have any last words? Or do you feel like you've said
No,
your piece?
nothing more than that. It's already said.
Yes. Yes, you've been very patient.
Yeah.
And we all appreciate that.
Yeah.
For me, Dr. Goodall's decision to die is difficult to understand. Just a week before, we were with him while he was visiting family in Bordeaux in the southwest of France, and he was full of life.
Watch your step?
Yes.
It's a small one, you remember?
Yes, vaguely.
For many years, the city's been home to David's son, the third of his 4 children.
It's just a little step, just now, very tiny.
Hannah Goodall is his daughter-in-law.
Good, there
Her
we
marriage is over, but she stayed in close contact with her father-in-law.
Good.
Today, Hannah is taking him to visit the family home. It's east of the city, in the middle of the wine-growing region, and David loves it here.
We'll go around the car and we'll approach to the gate.
Right.
Shall we go?
There we are. How's that? Good.
Look, another one. Still some left. It's a small mouse here, wanting.
Well, well. I think you animals have had probably enough of calamity. Now, oh, well, hello.
This is obviously a very important place for you, and it's a very special place for David.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
It's our family house. Children were brought up here in the nature with animals. Nearly 30 years he was coming to see us, yeah. There is the horse. I don't know how he managed, he was always here. Important times of our life.
What is it that you like about this place, David?
Well, it's mainly the people here, but also the landscape you haven't seen across the valley yet, which is quite a nice vista, yes. I have to climb the stairs. It made it maybe a bit complicated. I'm here.
If you need, there is a chair.
No, I'll be right. Good. Now, don't you think that that is a fine view? Yes, I think so. Now, what are you doing?
Now I'm just going to light the candles.
In the weeks before Bordeaux, David Goodall was with family on the other side of the world. I thought I was going along to report on a celebration. Instead, Dr. Goodall made a surprise announcement. At age 104, are you happy?
I beg your pardon?
Are you happy?
No. No, I'm not happy. I want to die.
That came as a shock to many of us at the ABC in Perth. We'd done stories about him over the years, and he seemed unstoppable. Born in London, David Goodall was a respected ecologist and plant scientist working all over the world. He settled in Australia in the late 1940s, marrying 3 times.
He wasn't a very good husband. He was a very, very difficult man because he was so focused on his science.
David Goodall's other passion was acting, and he performed into his late 90s.
I am sorry, madam, for the news I bring. It's heavy in my tongue. I'm now 97, nearly 98, and I've done it since I was about 15, so you can make the deduction, 80-odd years.
Dr. Goodall was still working at the age of 102, commuting to his office 4 days a week. But he was dealt a blow when the university told him it was no longer safe for him to be based on campus.
I would be glad if they did reconsider it, but I don't feel that I'm in a position to press it.
After a public backlash, the university found him an office closer to home.
You all right? Yes, we're right now.
By the age of 104, though, David's eyesight and mobility had deteriorated.
Once I lost my driving licence, that's a critical thing. All sorts of other avenues were closed to me. I no longer find much joy in life. Even up to the age of 90, I was enjoying life, but not now.
This year, he had a fall and spent 2 days on the kitchen floor before his cleaner found him. After a stay in hospital, he feared he'd be forced into a nursing home.
For the very first time ever, he attempted suicide. He'd always planned that at some point, if life was not worth living or there was not enough quality, that this is what he would do. But of course that failed.
Yeah, and I would be about right for breakfast.
In Australia, euthanasia and assisted suicide are illegal. From next year, though, voluntary euthanasia will be legal in Victoria for those who are terminally ill and close to death.
Hi. How are you?
But that law wouldn't apply to someone like David Goodall, who's not sick.
Dr. Goodall.
Hello.
Lovely to see you. How are you feeling?
Well, anxious,
Little anxious.
but keen to get on with the job.
Dr. Goodall is a long-time member of Exit International, a group which campaigns for voluntary euthanasia.
I bought this jacket for you.
Yes.
Exit's arranged him an appointment with an organisation in Switzerland which assists people to suicide. He's leaving today. His daughter Karen isn't going with him. It's too confronting. Are you unhappy that you've ended up in this position where you're having to fly along?
I am indeed. I would prefer to remain where I am, but I'm happy that I should be able to leave this life, even if it means going to Switzerland to do so.
It's 5 days before David Goodall is due to die.
Oh, you've come back. Well, you were brought back. It wasn't there, was it?
Oh, he makes himself comfortable.
Oh, yes, good.
Once I will need the same thing.
Yes.
I'm happy that you have that journey for me.
David's grandson Daniel and his partner Marie have prepared food for a final lunch at the family home in Bordeaux.
Yes, there was danger to the house.
Hello, David.
Hello?
Change?
The family heard about their grandfather's decision 3 weeks earlier.
This is an unusual first greeting, isn't it?
First time it was a shock, really a complete shock. But after a second thought, in fact, I was happy for David, still sad for myself, but happy for David. Quand j'y ai réfléchi après, je me suis rendu compte que, en fait, c'était pour David une vraie chance de pouvoir vraiment décider ce qu'il voulait vraiment.
Would you like, with your meal, some wine? We have,
Yes, I think so.
we have rosé.
Ça va être extrêmement triste et c'est très particulier de savoir que, voilà, aujourd'hui on le voit et que dans quelques jours c'est fini. C'est très unique comme sentiment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ce qui lui dérange le plus, tout simple, je crois que c'est d'être coupé de cette société auquel il faisait partie et coupé par la perte de sa vue et le fait qu'il puisse faire de moins en moins de choses.
Would someone turn me round?
Oui, il faut que tu l'aides.
Yes.
J'ai un tabouret.
Right.
Même au niveau des goûts et des odeurs, quelqu'un qui a adoré bien manger, voilà, il sent beaucoup moins le goût. Donc il y a la perte de tous ses sens petit à petit.
Would you like some more tarte du soleil? You know, the sunny pie. Would you like some more?
I'll have a little.
Yes, okay, little one.
How have you explained your decision to end your life to them?
I haven't had occasion to explain it. I think it's probably rather evident that my life has now become so poor that it's not worth continuing.
Is there any part of you that wants to try and change his mind?
Me? To change his mind? You don't change David's mind, ever. Ever. He always thinks in a different way, and I think it's a destiny of unusual men to make unusual decisions who are changing a life of many.
From Bordeaux, David Goodall takes a final flight to Basel, a town in northern Switzerland. His very personal journey is about to turn into a major media event. At the airport is Dr. Philip Nitschke, the founder of Exit International, who was banned in 2015 by the Medical Board of Australia from giving advice about suicide. Now based in the Netherlands, Dr. Nitschke is working closely with the Swiss organisation Life Circle.
Lady from China who wants to know how you're going.
Oh, hello.
Dr. Nitschke's partner, Fiona Stewart, is managing the growing media interest.
This is Jamie from Associated Press in New York.
Dr. Goodall's story is attracting so much attention because he's an unusual case. He's not sick or in pain, but has chosen to end his life simply because he's had enough.
In Europe, this idea of a person's right to die, as opposed to this idea of it being some form of medical privilege, is a real cutting-edge issue in the debate. Not in Australia, but in Europe it is.
About 2 people in here, I reckon.
His views epitomise, and he articulates them so well, this changing sentiment about where end-of-life legislation should be headed.
Switzerland is a country famous for its traditions and conservatism. But in one aspect at least, the Swiss are radical. Their laws on assisted suicide are among the most liberal in the world. In simple terms, it's legal to help someone kill themselves so long as your motives aren't selfish.
In other words, if it's not a malicious act, it's not a crime. So an act of compassion is not a crime. So that freed up people to be able to assist. And it led then to Swiss people being able to get access to the drugs to give them peaceful death.
The number of Swiss people accessing assisted suicide has quadrupled over the past 15 years. But it doesn't stop with its own citizens. There are a number of countries around the world where voluntary euthanasia is legal, but Switzerland is unusual. It's one of just 2 countries that allows assisted dying for foreigners. Hundreds of people make that one-way trip every year, giving rise to the phenomenon that's been labelled suicide tourism. And that's stirring up debate amongst the Swiss. While polls have shown there's public support for the policy, some Swiss think it tarnishes their country's image. Anne-Marie Pfeiffer is a psychologist and city councillor.
I am very proud of our reputation as we are the pioneers of the Red Cross, who is all over the world and really helping people. But here I think this is somehow against our really values of the Red Cross, helping people to live.
Anne-Marie Pfeiffer fears that easy access to assisted suicide could put pressure on old people.
It's already a pressure that it could be an easy way out. Nobody would have to pay anymore. Family would have some more money left off. And so there is a pressure of very old life is no more valuable.
It's Tuesday afternoon, just 2 days before Dr. Goodall is scheduled to die.
Duncan, hello, how are you? Lovely to see you. Thank you for having me.
Sure, David, Charlotte's here.
This is Charlotte from the ABC.
Hello, Charlotte.
How are you going?
Well, I'm going as well as can be expected. Yes, today has been enlivened by the arrival of my grandson.
It's a very strange situation. It's almost surreal. But then on top of that, there's the whole political aspect of it that makes me really angry. That my grandfather has to come all this way to do something that he should have every right to do where he lives.
Yes.
How are you feeling about the next couple of days?
I'm looking forward to it in a way. I'm anxious to finish with it. And that will happen, which day? On Thursday, won't it?
Thursday. Are you afraid?
Pardon?
Are you afraid?
No.
And you're quite resolute in the decision you've made?
Yes, that's right.
All right, good to go?
I still have a visceral reaction to it when I just think about it because, who wants to take their own life? Just having someone take their own life just is repellent to me. But when you think it through and you sort of rationalize it, I guess it makes sense.
Before he can fulfil his wish, Dr. Goodall is required by the Swiss organisation Life Circle to undergo psychological evaluation.
I've started to work with the organisation here this year,
Anaesthetist Christian Webber is one of 2 doctors who will assess his state of mind. The other is a psychiatrist.
One of the most important points is that we are convinced that this person is acting as a sound of mind, is acting free, has well considered over a long time his decision for assisted suicide.
How do you make a determination within a 1-hour appointment that someone is of sound mind?
If you're asking the same question, so once again, or the same question a couple of minutes later, and you have a coherent response of this person, and this is a little bit also the general impression how he presents, if he's really confused or if he formulates clearly what he's thinking.
Tomorrow, the board of Life Circle will assess the doctor's reports and make a final decision on Dr. Goodall's request. If it gives its approval, the day after tomorrow will be his last. The next day, Exit International organises a press conference at the hotel, and the media descends.
You've arrived a bit late, so I'll just ask you to be nice and respectful to everybody else in the room.
Before the press conference, Life Circle's lawyer comes to the hotel.
David, this is Mr. Moritz Gall.
Hi, nice to meet you.
He is the lawyer for Life Circle. So he's the man who's come to talk to you now.
He's here to let Dr. Goodall know the board's decision on his request for an assisted suicide. It's given its approval.
Yeah, this will be about, it's set to be speaking at about this volume. I think David will probably speak up quite a bit softer.
So just make sure that there's room for him. Please, that bag.
Come in.
Hi, David. Welcome to the press conference.
It's the first time I've seen Dr. Goodall look a little overwhelmed.
I'm impressed with the number of people.
Do you feel any extra pressure on you given the number of people that are here to share in your story?
Well, I suppose that is in a sense a pressure, but I don't feel that anyone else's choice is involved.
Do you feel that you may have more to contribute to life, to the world?
Well, I don't think so. I think over these few days that I've been coming here, the widespread interest in my faith has been my contribution.
Another quick question. Can I ask tomorrow in the final moments, have you chosen any song or any tune that will be played?
If I had to choose something, I think it would be the final movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
Very nice.
Freude schöner Götterfunken, Tochter aus Elysium, wir betreten Feuertrunken, himmlisch hält dein Heiligtum.
I think we can arrange something for tomorrow.
Cheers to David.
David. Away from the spotlight, David's grandchildren confide they're feeling the pressure.
Even if it's not easy for us to make it public and to share it with the rest of the world, we know it was important for David. It was a cause that really mattered for him. So what we think about it, it doesn't really matter.
He could have very easily taken a different route. He could have said, I'm going to gather my family around me and everyone else, leave. He could have very easily done that, and he could have excluded the media. He could have just walked away and just done it the way that was good and comfortable for him. But he didn't do that. Instead, he made a very difficult choice to bring everyone in and to make those sort of sacrifices and to change things for better.
Tonight, they'll take their grandfather out for one last dinner. But they're uneasy about tomorrow.
It's hard to think what will happen tomorrow. I don't know how I will react and what will happen.
On his last day, David is up early. His daughter Karen calls him from Perth to say goodbye.
David has never been good at saying I love you. He's never said it, in fact. So I said to him, I love you, David. And he said, oh, thank you. And I said, you can say I love you too. He went, oh, I love you. To know that he was going to die that day and that I was never going to talk to him again, it was really important for me to talk to him and to hear that.
The rooms where Dr. Goodall will die are on the outskirts of a town near Basel.
You're still convinced it's the right thing, Professor?
When the family arrives, they're taken aback. Even at this sensitive moment, there's a lot of media. But Dr. Goodall is still happy to take questions.
And do you hope that by publicising it, you will get people talking about it after your death?
Certainly, I'm happy that that should be so, yes.
I herewith declare that I will not hold responsible either the accompanists.
It falls to Duncan to help his grandfather navigate the final paperwork.
I discharge the 2 doctors who wrote the expertise in regards to my illness from their obligation of secrecy. Do you agree?
So that's all right, except that it refers to my illness. And I'm not ill.
He takes issue with the illness, so can we cross that out and then we can...
Oh, well, if we can cross it out, good.
Sorry.
As we wait for more documents, I'm able to steal a moment with David.
Thank you very much, and I just wanted to say goodbye and all the best.
Well, thank you for... yes. Well, I'm happy to be going.
I wish you much peace. Thank you for being so generous with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, here's the mechanism right here. Okay.
Most critically, he has to learn how to administer himself the lethal dose. He alone must push the lever.
This mechanism, you have to do this alone.
Yes.
And no one can be around you. This is the most important part. So push it up again. So push it this way. Push it that way. Up the slide. You can use both thumbs. Okay. Yeah. There. Yes. One more. Very good.
It seems a bit stiff.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
Team ABC has to leave. Yes. Now.
At this point, we're asked to stop filming.
Do you think you can do it?
That's big.
Yeah.
David Goodall lies on the bed and his family gathers around. He struggles with the mechanism, but finally manages to work the lever.
And he hit it, and he laid back, closed his eyes, and about 30 seconds later, he opened his eyes, looked around and said, oh, it's taking rather a long time. So, and he closed his eyes again, and about another 15 or 20 seconds later, he fell asleep. You don't know how to think about these things. You think that human life, has such a high value and that we should save it at all costs. But there are times when that isn't actually the case. I don't know how to articulate it. I've never felt anything like this before, so I don't know how to talk about it.
For Duncan, it's hard to process, but he says his grandfather died the way he lived, on his own terms.
He made his death have meaning. You know, he saw this thing that he could do to help people that came after him. He also did it in such a way that allowed his family to have closure. So all the people that were closest to him could say goodbye, because that is also a great gift that you can give your family and such, is giving them that last opportunity to say those things they always want to say.